Over 40 and struggling with getting that toned, lean look? No, it's not your genetics or menopause, and you are certainly not broken. I see you putting in the effort. You're getting your workouts in, for the most part anyway. You're making a conscious effort to eat protein, and you're eating a mostly clean diet. But your body never seems to change. Or even worse, you are noticing an increase in fat around your belly. If this is you, you are definitely not alone. I know how frustrating this can be, and I want you to know that this is absolutely fixable. You are likely just making some common mistakes when it comes to nutrition and training, and the good news is that it doesn't have to be complicated or depriving at all. And no, you don't have to spend hours in the gym. No, you don't need to eat clean all the time or hop on another crash diet. And no, you don't have to do cardio to lose weight and tone up either. This is exactly what I'm teaching inside my free upcoming 2-part training, A Leaner, Fitter You. Want my secrets for building sexy ass muscle and getting lean as fuck in your 40s and 50s? Sign up for A Leaner, Fitter You in the show notes. Well, hey there. Welcome to the Lean Lifestyle Podcast, where we talk all the things about losing fat and building muscle in your 40s and beyond. I'm your host, Courtney Witten, certified personal trainer and health coach, and I'm so excited to have you here today. Today, we are talking about how you might be unintentionally sabotaging your fitness goals, part 1. So today's going to be all about the training. So in today's podcast, I'm going to be going over the 4 common mistakes I see women make when it comes to losing fat and building muscle. So if you're over the age of 40 and maybe you work out 4, 5, even 6 days a week, maybe you're doing things like trying to cut calories or eat clean, and you do a whole bunch of sweaty cardio and HIIT workouts, but yet you're not getting that lean, toned look that you want. I totally understand how frustrating this can be because I have been there myself. But I do want you to know that you're not alone, and it's not your genetics and it's not your menopause. It might just be that you're making these 4 common mistakes, maybe 1, 2, or even all 4 of them. And by knowing this information, you're going to be so empowered today, and I can't wait to share this info with you. But before we get going, I do want to invite you to my free upcoming event. It is a 2-part training series called A Leaner, Fitter You. In this free training, you are going to discover the most effective way to train as a woman in your 40s and 50s to build sexy muscle and get lean and shredded. No spending hours in the gym and 0 cardio. You're also going to discover the 4 must-have exercises for building a peach either at home or the gym, as well as the most effective nutrition strategies for women over 40 who want that toned, lean look that doesn't include cookie cutter meal plans or crash diets. And finally, you're going to discover with this free training how long to diet, exactly what to do after the diet, and how to maintain your weight loss and muscle mommy gains. So to join this free training, which is coming up on April 15th and April 17th, go ahead and click on the link in the show notes of this episode. All right, without further ado, we are going to go ahead and jump in today's episode. So I do want to have like a little disclaimer here because these are actually mistakes that I made myself. And I made these mistakes even as a personal trainer just a few years ago. So if you're making any of these mistakes, it's totally okay. There is no judgment. There's no shame. I simply want to share this information because I see so many women that struggle with reaching their goals. These women are focusing on the wrong things. They're just making mistakes that are very, very common, and these mistakes are absolutely fixable. So the first mistake when it comes to not getting that toned, lean look that you're looking for is that you're not using progressive overload. All right, so what is progressive overload? Progressive overload is a term that we use with weight training. So what this means is either increasing the weight loads that you're lifting. It also can mean increasing your sets, your repetitions that you're performing, but it also means improving your form and increasing range of motion. This is one of the biggest things that I see women missing when it comes to reaching their goals. And the reason why this matters is because our bodies are very smart and very adaptable. So, meaning if you are not consistently increasing the challenge. So if you're not increasing the weight or getting better at your lifts or increasing the range of motion, more than likely you're probably going to come across a plateau. Whenever you're plateaued, you're not going to see the muscle growth that you want. So that's how you start to think like, maybe it's my genetics or maybe it's my age. You literally are just not lifting heavy enough, or you're not going low enough on things like your squats. So this is where it can be really helpful to work with a trainer. So that way you can learn proper technique and form, and that way you can learn how to implement progressive overload. And progressive overload is actually something that we talk about inside my membership for women, Lean Physique. All right, so let's use a couple examples here. So improving your form. So one thing that I see quite a bit, and this is even with people that I have trained for even a couple of years at this point, a lot of times I still have to remind my personal training clients to slow down. So if you are rushing through your reps, like if it only takes you like less than 30 seconds to get through a set, if you're doing things like you could do a crap ton of reps, like say you're doing 20, 25, 30 reps, more than likely you're probably going too fast. So a good rule of thumb is go down for 2 and then come up for 2. So for a squat, going down for 2 seconds and up for 2 seconds. I would say that is actually the bare minimum. Usually when I train, if I'm doing like a Smith machine squat or any kind of squat really, I'll try to use about 4 seconds to go down. And then what I actually do at the bottom is try to pause. The reason why you would want to pause at the bottom of a squat is because that is where the stretch in the glutes is, okay? Whenever you're at that parallel position at the bottom of a squat, that is when the glutes are actually getting the most work. So it makes sense to spend more time there. So too much, I see women just like going down and up like really fast. They're not getting down to parallel, but by even maybe lowering the weight load if you're not quite getting down to parallel and slowing down your movement and even trying to pause at the bottom can make all the difference in your glute growth. Take a video of yourself doing something like a squat and see how fast that you're going and see if you're actually getting down to parallel and see if you're actually pausing. If you're not able to get down to parallel, that might just simply be a hip mobility issue or an ankle mobility issue. There is some mobility exercises that you can do in order to improve your mobility of your lower body to be able to get more depth on your squats. And that's exactly what we want, because again, that's where you're going to get the most work is at that bottom of a squat. So getting down to parallel or at least close to it is key. I would even say getting a little bit past parallel is probably even optimal, but I like to teach my clients for squats, try to get down to that parallel position, even maybe slightly below that. And some of you guys might even have to do something like just simply lighten the weight load. So those are a few things that you guys can try. But as far as like hip mobility, couple exercises that you can do, any kind of like hip opener, like I like pigeon. I like lizard. That is a yoga pose where it's kind of like a low lunge with your knee down, and then you can roll onto that knife edge of your front foot. That's a really good way to stretch your hips out. And some of you, if you find that, for example, your heels are coming up while you do a squat, that might be an ankle mobility issue. So doing things like a down dog stretch, doing some calf raises and calf stretches can be very beneficial. But that is the first one. We really want to make sure that we're not rushing through the sets. We want to have slow, controlled repetitions. We definitely want to have that time under tension. So that is the first one. So make sure that it's not only about increasing the weight loads, which yes, that is part of progressive overload. And yes, you should be for the most part, most people, including myself, I've been training for about 22 years now. Even though my weight loads, increasing them has gone down a little bit. I definitely am not like making tons of gains like every single training session or even every single week. There is some lifts that I kind of feel like, I'm pretty much capped out at. I might be able to increase a little bit more over time. But for the most part, I've actually, even after 20 plus years of lifting, I'm still able to increase my weight loads with consistent training. So definitely want to make sure that you are challenging yourself with the weight loads. They should be going up as time goes on. Your form should be improving. Another reason why it's a great idea to hire a personal trainer, especially in the beginning. And making sure that you're doing things like tracking your lifts. This is what I really like to do because first of all, it's really motivating when you can go back in time and see how much you've improved. But not only that, I find that a lot of people, they don't remember what they did last time. So this is a really good way to implement progressive overload, is by keeping some kind of like workout journal. I use one that I get off of Amazon. It's like $8 and it's great. I freaking love it. It fits perfectly in my gym bag, and I'm just old school pen and paper. There's also just like the note section of your phone, but I highly recommend that you get some kind of fitness planner or journal where you can record your exercises that you're doing and also your reps and sets. So that way you can continue to see progress, because a lot of times if you're not building muscle, like if you're not seeing like your glutes grow, you're not seeing your quads grow, you're not seeing your delts pop out, right? Some of that might be because of a layer of body fat, but I'm thinking more than likely, especially if you're not seeing glute growth, more than likely you're probably making one of these mistakes. It could also be a nutrition problem, which we will go over in part 2. But more than likely, you probably just need to go slower. You might need to improve your form, make sure that you're getting full range of motion, and also that you are implementing progressive overload by increasing the weight sets and reps. All right. So the second mistake that I see women make when it comes to unintentionally sabotaging your fitness goals is too much cardio. All right. I'm guilty here. In fact, in my stories, I have a video of me doing some double unders. I used to love cardio, and it does. It feels really good. It gives you that accomplished feeling. It feels good to sweat. But I'm telling you right now, that is probably the biggest thing that kept me from my goals just a few years ago. I was doing way too much cardio. And this was also during a time when I was a group fitness instructor. I was teaching a shit ton of classes. I was teaching like 20 plus classes a week. I did this for years, but the issue was that I was doing a lot of cardio. I was doing a lot of activity. I was not eating enough. So that made my glutes flat. So even though I looked okay, I was definitely lean, but I did not have any muscle tone, and I certainly did not have any glutes. So although cardio does have a place, it's great for heart health. It's great for stamina. It is great for fat loss. It can be a wonderful tool to use for fat loss. But if you are doing cardio most days, if you are doing more cardio than you are weight training, then there is some kind of disconnect. Now, I do want to say here is that if you're someone like a runner or something, like maybe this is your sport, then obviously you're going to have to do a lot of cardio. That might be more of a priority for you. But I will say, if you are looking for aesthetics, if you are going for a toned, lean look, if you want muscles, but you also want a tiny waist and you want low body fat, you want to be able to maybe see like the first 2 abs in your abdominals, that's what I'm talking about. So if you're a runner, or if it's your passion, whatever the case may be, you do you. The reason why I bring this up is because this is actually something, probably the biggest offender for me, along with not eating correctly. For me, that was really what caused my decrease in muscle mass. And that really gave me like this skinny fat look. So there is a few issues with cardio. So first of all, the reason why it can be not so great for us women is because it can literally break down your muscle tissue. So we need to remember this, okay? Cardio is catabolic, so meaning it is going to break down muscle tissue. Lifting weights is anabolic, so meaning it's going to help you build. So you just want to be really careful and make sure that you are prioritizing weight training, no matter what your goal is. So I'm just going to go ahead and answer the question now because I keep seeing this all over Facebook groups that I'm in. So here's what I see a lot. I see women that are like, yeah, but my goal is fat loss. So I decided I'm not going to lift. I'm just going to do cardio instead. No, 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 no. That's not what you do. You always lift weights. Whether your goal is to build muscle or lose fat or a little bit of both, you're always going to want to build muscle. Why? Because if you do not keep up your weight training, more than likely, if you're just doing a lot of cardio and you're restricting your calories, you will lose muscle mass. And what we want to do during a fat loss phase is we want to lose fat, but not muscle, because muscle is what's going to give your body that toned, beautiful look. You want to have that muscle mass. I promise you do. Even if you don't want to be jacked, I promise it's going to make your body look better. And not only that, muscle is metabolically active, so it's going to help you increase your calorie burn. It's going to help your metabolism. And here's the other thing. The other thing that I want to say here about doing too much cardio is that it can actually increase your hunger and your cravings. So it might actually lead you to unintentionally overeat. And if you're trying to lose fat, we definitely want to avoid that. So that's the issue with cardio. It can break down your muscle tissue. It can make you hungry. It can drive up your cravings. It can make you unintentionally overeat. So again, we want to make sure that we are prioritizing weight training. Now, I'm not saying to never do cardio. I absolutely think that it can be in your program, but we need to be smart about it. And we still need to prioritize weight training. Okay. So that might mean that you do your cardio after your weight training session, or I would even actually suggest that you do cardio on separate days away from weight training. But some of you, if you are deep into a fat loss phase and you're doing cardio most days, you might have to put it at the end of your weight training, which that's what I would recommend. I would not do cardio first, do your weights first, because doing the cardio first is actually going to probably tire you out. And again, we want to be able to lift as heavy as possible, have as good as form as possible. So that way we can continue to build that muscle or at least maintain it while we are losing weight. Okay. So we are moving on. The third mistake that I see women make when it comes to getting sexy ass muscle and getting lean as fuck in your 40s and 50s is mixing it up. All right. Guilty over here. I remember when I was first a trainer, this was the thing. Remember, I don't know if you guys remember muscle confusion. Like, yeah, you got to confuse your muscles. No, you don't. I promise you don't. So I did this for a long time. And I think probably some of the issue, like I was a group fitness instructor, so I kind of got into this world of, like my clients always love like having like a new workout to do. It's a lot of fun, right? It's fun when you mix it up. Like it's fun to do different exercises. It's fun to do something new. This is something else that kept me from the body that I wanted, because here's the thing. If you want that toned lean look, right? If you want that snatched waist, if you want a big old booty, it's not going to come from doing random workouts. I get that it's fun, but I'm telling you, you have to have the right workout program. So yes, one that prioritizes strength training over cardio, super important. You also need a program that is going to help you implement progressive overload that teaches you how to do that. But not only that, you need a solid program that you're actually repeating over and over and over for weeks, maybe even months. I know this sounds really boring, and it kind of is, but here's the thing. You're going to be able to improve your lifts. How can you expect to improve when you're constantly doing new exercises and trying to figure out how to do these new exercises? You're not going to be able to get better at them because you're constantly trying to learn a new workout or a new exercise. And the first couple of times that you do something is going to be subpar. So week after week after week, you should be doing the same lifts. Now, can you do different variations? Absolutely. So for example, you can do a hip thrust. You can do a glute bridge on the floor with a dumbbell instead. You can do a frog glute bridge. That's a bridge with your feet together. Those are just a few variations. A squat, you can do a goblet squat. You can do a barbell squat. You can do a Smith machine squat. You can do a sumo squat with dumbbells. Like there's a million different ways you can do a squat. But here's the reality. We still need to make sure that we are practicing the same exercises over and over and over again so we can get better at them, so we can have better range of motion, so we can increase the weight loads. So I know it's kind of boring, but it's not going to be boring when you see the results that you want. So I know this one got me for a long time. I'm guilty of it. I don't know how many times, like in the beginning of my online training career, that I would like give my clients new workouts every week because that's what they were asking for. So I would do that. I started realizing at the end of my group fitness career, I'm like, I just don't think that this is the way to do things. Like it's not like adding up. The math isn't mathing up. So seriously guys, like I know it's boring, but trust me on this, like following the same plan, as boring as it might be, you're going to be able to have better form. You're going to be able to increase your weight loads. And that's exactly what you want to get the body of your dreams. All right, so we got one more. Thanks so much for being here again. So we have overtraining. All right, so this was me for so long. Ladies, you do not need to work out 6 days a week. I see this all the time in the Facebook groups I'm in. I'm in like all these fitness groups for women, and I see this all the time. I'm not losing any weight, and I'm working out like 6 days a week. That used to be me too. Shoot, I used to work out sometimes 7 days a week. Like I was out of control. Like, and it was almost like compulsory, right? Like it's like I couldn't stop. It was so addictive. But I'm telling you, as someone who has overtrained, and I remember my body just feeling like freaking garbage day in and day out. I was teaching all of those fitness classes. On top of all of that, on top of my 20 plus fitness classes, I still felt the need to like work on my own, but it was just way too much. It was way too much. I never really got a day off because even on my off days, I was teaching fitness. So here's the problem with overtraining. You're more than likely not going to recover well. And you're not really making the gains while you're working out. You know what it is? Like you're tearing down your muscles when you are training. But then when you're resting, that is when your muscles repair. So that's when you have muscle protein synthesis. This is when you're going to actually build the muscle. So it's not even while you're doing it. So if you are not giving yourself adequate rest, then more than likely you're not going to recover well. And that is going to translate to poor performance in the gym or at home with your workouts. So meaning you're not going to be able to go as low. You're probably not going to have great range of motion. You're probably not going to be able to lift as heavy because you're not properly recovered, right? So you kind of see how it would seem like from a glance that working out more would actually give you more bang. But I honestly think, and we have a lot of research that shows that it's really not a great idea to train more than 5 days a week. And I will say this because I'm guilty of this. I used to do like 6-7 days, but I'm like, well, that doesn't really count because that's like a cardio day or an ab day. Like I would do things like that. Like, oh, I'm just doing like a core circuit. Like that's not really working out. Yeah, that's working out. I think you need to lay on the couch all day. Like maybe, you can do things like go on a walk or go for like a leisure bike ride. I don't think you need to like be in bed all day, but I literally like on Sundays, that is one day. I generally take 2 to 3 days off every week, but Sunday I give myself permission to just be lazy if I feel the need. I don't pressure myself to get my steps in on Sunday, but on my other rest days I do. Generally, like yesterday I didn't work out, but I did get like 11,000 steps yesterday. I went for a long walk. So I cannot stress how much better I feel. My results are better. I'm actually able to see muscle growth. And I'm someone who in my 30s, I literally believed that it was just my genetics. But no, it was just because I was not resting enough. I was doing all these mistakes. I wasn't resting enough. I was mixing it up all the time, doing random workouts. I was doing way too much cardio. Every time I worked out, I would sprinkle it in, right? Just sneaking that in. And I definitely wasn't doing progressive overload properly either. So overtraining, as much as it sounds like more is better, no, it's not. That's really the main issue. You're not going to be fully recovered, so your performance is going to suffer quite a bit. You're going to leave strength gains on the table because you're not going to be able to lift to your potential. So I know that's a hard one to to accept, but that really is the truth, that if you're not seeing results working out 6 days a week, there's something wrong. Now, it could be your nutrition, and we're going to touch on that in part 2. But if you're training 6 days a week, for most people, that really is too much. And I will also say this. I will say that I felt like it was way more doable in my 20s and 30s versus now. I'm in my 40s now. I need more rest. So give it a try. If you're training 5-6 days a week, I'm going to challenge you to bring that down to 4. I find like 4 is actually a sweet spot. Some weeks, like last week, I did train 5 days. I don't really see a difference from training 4 to 5 days. And I actually feel a little bit better training 4 days because I feel like with that extra day, I can really get better recovery and really push myself. So I really think that 3, 4, 5 days max is really the sweet spot when it comes to training. Of course, prioritizing that weight training. So yes, I want 3, 4, 5 workouts to be strength. Okay. And then if you want to add a little bit of cardio, you totally can, but it just needs to make sense, right? Like if you are focusing on building muscle, it doesn't make sense to do a lot of cardio. Yeah, don't do that. If you're losing fat, then sure. If that's your main goal is to lose fat, then sprinkling in a little bit of cardio is a great idea. I think it can be a really good tool to help you increase calorie burn. But again, you do want to make sure, even if you are in a fat loss phase, if you're trying to lose weight, you definitely want to keep the weight training up, because we want to make sure that you're not just that you're not losing muscle. That's really, really important, because that is going to impact your physique. All right, ladies, so that is it for now. I really hope this was helpful. Just kind of short and sweet today, but I do want to remind you, if this episode resonated with you, if you're over 40 and you're doing the things and you're not seeing the results, then there's something wrong. And the good thing is that it's more than likely not your genetics, it's not your age, it's not your menopause. You're more than likely making at least one of these mistakes. I know I made all 4 of these mistakes myself, and I made these as a trainer. So there is absolutely no shame. There's nothing to be embarrassed about or mad about. These are things that are fed to us. Scrolling through Instagram, there's just so much bullshit. I'm like, what in the hell is that? So if you are falling for this shit, like, there's no shame in it. It's all over the place. It's all over social media. It's all over the weight loss industry. There's just so much noise and misinformation. And my goal is to be a trusted resource. I like to read scientific studies. I do things that are backed by science. I really hope that you guys trust me, and I really hope that I am a trusted source of information for you. So that being said, I would like to invite you to my free upcoming 2-part training series. It's called A Leaner, Fitter You. This is for women in their 40s and 50s who want to lose fat and build muscle, aka get toned and lean. So I'm going to put the link to join in the show notes. It's completely free. If you sign up, you will get access to the Facebook group. And not only that, you're going to get access to the replays as well. So you can keep that forever. But I'm really excited because I see so many people, so many potential clients and friends that struggle with this. It's like, girl, you've been working out forever. And they're like, yeah, I know, I don't look like it. And it's like, okay, there's a disconnect there. And I promise you, it's not you. It's just that you're simply making some common mistakes that even personal trainers make. So I really hope by sharing this with you that this empowers you to try something new and do something different, so that way you can get a different result. So thanks so much. And one more thing, I do need more reviews. Help me grow this podcast. So my goal is to help as many women as possible. And in order to do that, I need to be actually able to reach them. So by writing me a 5-star review, that helps so much. It pushes the podcast out into the algorithm. So more women who need to hear this are going to be able to find me. So I really appreciate your 5-star reviews. All right, ladies, that is it for now. I will see you next week for part 2, and I will see you inside of a leaner, fitter you. All right. Thanks so much for being here, and bye for now.